Hello everyone, and welcome to TZED Games, our podcast, Living Life with Positivity. Unfortunately, our studio did not quite get finished, so we are improvising tonight. We set up just a little board here. Next week we will be in the studio, but I did not want to cancel. Hello, Paula. How are you? Good to see you. And I did not want to cancel the podcast tonight, so I improvised with the board here, and let's move on. We are going to be talking about the topics feeling overwhelmed, looking after yourself, and untangling the bouncing ball. Those are our topics for tonight, and I'm going to get right on into it. We only have so much time for this podcast. Let's talk first about a quote that I used in one of the trailer videos for Living Life with Positivity. And that quote was, "You try to take it one day at a time, but lately several days have attacked me at once." And I know myself, as a lot of you have felt that way, like the days have all attacked you at once. Well, I'm going to show you the steps in to helping yourself lose that feeling of being overwhelmed. And that line does make you smile, but it's something everyone can immediately relate to. There's hand down, no doubt about that. And the feelings of overwhelmness can be from serious to acute. And when it is acute, it's difficult to see a way forward. And I'm sure many of you have felt that way in moving. What is overwhelmed? And I'm sure we all have our own ideas of being overwhelmed, and a lot of people experience it. It's quite rare. For others, it can become a reoccurring experience, and they also can become stuck in the feeling of being overwhelmed. It's an intense emotion that something is too challenging to manage or overcome, and that we can't find a way through it, or we feel trapped by our thoughts and our emotions. And this is mostly about a particular problem or situation. Keep that in mind. Or when you can't, like, I'm going to give it myself as an example here. When you get behind, you're especially when you're dealing with a illness, and you've got so many things you want to do with life, and you have therapy, you're running behind. If you let that emotion of being behind overwhelm you, it will consume you, and then everything will become a negative. So a good thing to do every morning when you get up in the morning, give yourself positive affirmations. Make sure to find a couple of, if you want to get them from me, I will be glad to email them to you. Just email me at tzgames@gmail.com and ask for 3 affirmations for the morning, and I will be glad to do that. Make sure in the subject line you write morning affirmations. That way I know what you're asking for. And sometimes being overwhelmed can make it impossible to function or make decisions. So by getting up in the morning and saying these 3 positives in the morning time is a good start to keeping the day positive, keeping the positive mindset, and making sure that you are starting the day. Even if you get out of bed and stub your toe and it hurts, still sit down in a quiet corner and say your 3 positive affirmations, and make sure they are done before you start anything for that day. And I assure you, you will feel better throughout the day. That is any great start to a positive day is a positive morning. And so keep that in mind. Why do we experience feelings of overwhelm? I'm going to share that with you, why you experience overwhelmness. The symptoms do vary. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I feel overwhelmed, but mine aren't that bad. No, because the symptoms vary from person to person. It's what is going on in your life, what you're doing in your life, how you are looking and perceiving the things that go on around you. So yes, the symptoms vary for everyone. And the one reason we feel overwhelmed is very unique. It could be a difficult relationship, job pressures, financial struggle, significant changes in our life. And that goes hand in hand with dealing with an illness, a loss of a loved one. All these are significant changes. And even though we are talking about being overwhelmed, if you notice in the background, I am playing positive, happy music. That's another thing you can use in terms of keeping your positive mindset. When you listen to down music, you become down. It becomes you. You don't want to listen to music that's talking about loss of a loved one or loss of a relationship. No, you leave that drama behind. You want to listen to positive, upbeat music that's going to make you feel good. So keep that in mind. But those were just a few examples that can have you experience the feeling of being overwhelmed. And so, some challenges one person can show resilience for, and another person can be a significant contributor. So, like I said, it's different for everyone. I've been that way for the past couple of days. Yeah, you got to start your day out with positive affirmations to help you deal with things that are coming down the line. Feeling overwhelmed for someone else, it can be a significant event, or it can build up from smaller stressors. You know, you get up, okay, the water bill's due today, and then tomorrow this bill is due, and then you have all these tiny bills that you have to pay, and you're looking at your money situation, and you're trying to figure out what day I can pay what, and what's going to get paid that day. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that, because if you allow yourself to feel and become so overwhelmed and distraught, that's when your survival instincts kick in. That's when it's a fight, flight, or freeze. Now, I have known some people that have literally froze with being overwhelmed. They literally freeze. They can't function. They can't move forward. They can't move backwards. They can't think. They don't know what to do next. So if they had the positive affirmations and know how to write things down, which I will be working on you when next week we're going to start that in the studio, and you will find many helpful things. Now, I myself journal. Every morning and every night I journal, and I journal like I reflect. I reflect on my day, whether it's showing things, doing a video, playing a game. I write my feelings down, I reflect, and then I write for the next day. And you'll find if you journal, that is a big help. Sometimes I draw my feelings. If I'm feeling a certain way, I'll draw it in a doodle, and then I'll write a paragraph about that feeling particular. And I'll tell you guys, it does make a big difference. And it's life teaching. It's things you do for yourself that will help you live a positive life. You don't always have to like what things are going on, what's happening in your life, but you can make it positive by writing it down, learning to deal with that emotion at that moment. Because it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to cry. But make sure when you have that moment, it doesn't go on day after day after day. Don't take those moments into the next hour even. Write it down. Cry if you have to. Let it out. And then move on to a positive thing that you want to do to help turn that negative into a positive. There are a lot of practical things you can do effectively to reduce your feelings of being overwhelmed. The number one thing is be aware of it. Be aware of why you're overwhelmed. Write down what's overwhelming you. That's a big plus, because when you become aware of what you are being overwhelmed about, you will also see some changes happening. So make sure that you are aware of how you feel, what you are experiencing that changed your life, or what is happening at that moment that makes you feel overwhelmed. So that way you can reflect back on it. You wrote it down. The doctor told me my foot was broke. I'm very upset about this. I don't know how I'm going to manage on crutches. So once you write that down, and that's just an example, guys. I did break my foot, so I know what I'm talking about. Once you write that down, that your foot is broken, you don't know how you're going to manage, how you're going to get around, how you're even going to go to work, then you have the ability to work on that feeling. If you don't write it down, it becomes a jumbled ball in your head. And you know you're stressed because you don't know what you're going to do about work. You don't know how you're going to get around. So all those emotions that are going through your head at that moment are rolling like a ball in your head. So when you write them down, you're affirming, this is how I feel. This is what I'm going to do to make it a positive. And I'll tell you, once you start doing that, you're going to find that you're not as overwhelmed as you thought you were. You're not thinking negative, you're thinking positive. And this is what I mean by living life with positivity. Sometimes it's hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Living life with positivity is hard. It's something you have to want. You have to want a positive life. You have to want to lose the negativity. And I'll tell you what, guys, once you lose the negativity, it's going to turn your life around. So once you've worked out what is causing you to feel overwhelmed, take a good look at what is there and categorize it. So, is it something I can do anything about? Well, let's break down. I broke my foot. Can you do anything about breaking your foot? No. It's broke. It's in a boot. You can't change the fact that you broke your foot. So, now you know you can't do anything about it. Does something need to be done about it now, or can it wait? Well, I say, I broke my foot and I did wait a couple days. I rested for a couple days. I got used to the fact my foot was broke. I wrote things down of what I needed to do after my 2 or 3 days of gathering my thoughts. And it helped tremendously. Are there things I can stop doing that will reduce my load with a broken foot? Well, there always is. There always is. And this is what it means to manage yourself. You're not only managing your positivity and getting rid of the negativity, you're managing yourself. Hello, Sacred Emotions is in the house. Hello, how are you? I hope everything is going good. So, and I'll tell you something about untangling that ball of wool that's in your head that's saying, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I broke my foot. How am I going to work? How am I going to get around? Well, this last one is a good question. And could someone else support me with anything? That's where your family and friends come into play. Could someone else support me with anything? Well, of course, I have my fiance, so I can ask him to do this, this, and this. And that support system is going to make your negative, because breaking your foot is a negative, is going to turn it into a positive. All right, my fiance can go to the grocery store for me. He can pick up my medication. So there you have things. Now you have a broken foot. You got family and friend support. And so the last one is the biggie. So here are those 4 points that you need to categorize when you are feeling overwhelmed. I'm going to repeat them one more time. Is this something I can do anything about? Number 2, does something need to be done about it now, or can it wait? Number 3, are there things I can stop doing that would reduce the load? And number 4, could someone else support me with anything? So, that is the 4 things that you want to help you to untangle that overwhelmed ball of wool that's in your head. What am I going to do? Oh my gosh, how am I going to get around? How long is this going to take? Your mind goes 100 miles a minute. So if you write those 4 things down, when something happens, you will start to be on the path of categorizing what's making you feel overwhelmed, what you have written down the situation is, and then start going from that moment. And you will find that the negative is turning into a positive. I'm okay. That's good to hear, Sacred Emotions. I hope everything's going good with your doctors. And something else about the daily positive affirmations, guys, can really help. Not only will it boost your mood, and it will give you a good outlook about who you are and what you can achieve. Remember that. And like I said before, Angel, you weren't in here when I started. Our studio was not quite done, so we improvised tonight. Rather than cancel Living Life with Positivity, I set up this little display here for right now. So a studio should be done next week. The next topic I want to talk about, guys, is looking after yourself. Now, the people and your family and friends in your life, they're important. But when you look after yourself, I know there is so much to do. The last thing I should do is stop for lunch. Yes. You made lunch with a friend. Keep that lunch with that friend, because you might not have any other time for that friend. Yes, you have to eat. You do have to sit down and eat. You can't starve. So take that time to take care of yourself by 1, eating lunch and visiting with a friend. That way you are giving yourself that positive, and you're not feeling overwhelmed because you know you have to eat. So why not see your friend and feed your body at the same time? And trust me, you will feel less overstressed. Many times I have called my friend while I'm sitting and eating my lunch, because that's the only time I have to call her. So I will eat my egg salad sandwich and talk to her, ask her how she's doing, what's going on with her life, and that is keeping her in my life, keeping the friendship alive, and taking care of myself at the same time. So, look after yourself. You have to stop for lunch. Take a break. If things are looking too overwhelmed, you've written out, categorized it, you've written it out, and yet you just can't shake it, go for a walk. Stop what you're doing, take a 5-minute walk, and clear your mind. Don't be thinking about that ball of wool in your head, guys. Just take a walk and put nothing in your head but the scenery around you. You're bringing positive into your mind by taking that walk and looking at the scenery, the grass, the beautiful trees, kids playing ball. Whatever your eyes see, think about that moment in time where you're watching that and you're taking care of yourself. Chat on the phone with a friend. Stop what you're doing. Chat on the phone. You would be surprised how much one 15-minute chat, 5-minute chat, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. You call a friend, you say, I'm sorry, I got 5 minutes. Let's talk. During that 5 minutes, you are backing up your positive life. You are taking time for yourself. 5 minutes, and believe me, 5 minutes means a lot when you live a hectic, busy life. Take the time to do these things is a beneficial effect. And it will help you on how you are feeling. They will make you feel better rather than worse. And that is the topic of looking after yourself. Feeling overwhelmed for a couple of hours or even days while we get ourselves back on track is manageable. If you find, though, you are feeling overwhelmed for any length of time, it might be a sign that you really need support from someone who can help you find effective ways to manage or resolve the cause of emotions. And I hope by living life with positivity and going over 3 things each week to help you live that positive life, I just hope I can be of help with these topics. And if you have any questions, go ahead and write them in the comments for me, and I will be glad to try to answer any questions you might have. And I'll tell you, there are so many things out there to help live your life with positivity. I know a lady on Instagram who Color Me Happiness. She colors to relieve her stress and to have a positive project that she is doing, and it does help. So I really like to see the positive Instagrams and the positive Facebooks and the things that are going on there, and that is what helps with kickstarting your living life with positivity. Mine is wedding. Yeah, your wedding is coming up. Well, that's when you write down the 4 things that I told you in this live and podcast and work with them. What can wait? What can you do now? And what can you get from those who can support you? I'm going to take a drink real quick. Next week on Living Life with Positivity, I am going to show you a book I found that will also be helpful. It doesn't cost a lot of money, and it will help you to blend your positive in your daily life. And take time. Take that 5 minutes in the morning to write down your positive affirmations. Take time to tell yourself, this is going to be a good day. I just know it. Even if something goes wrong during that day, and you did your positive affirmations, you did take your 5 minutes to yourself, that will help you to deal with the negative that hits you throughout the course of the day. And so, I will be bringing that up in next week's Living Life with Positivity, and how to define your priorities and deciding your next steps. You can email me anything you want to ask me by email too. Just write in the subject line questions, and I will be glad to help you with that also. So next week we will be kickstarting that book and doing a daily book every day, the 5 minutes, taking 5 minutes in the morning for your 3 affirmations. If you want me to send you those, email me, like I said, tzedgames@gmail.com for your 3 morning affirmations to help you get your day started. And you guys seen these? I've had these on the board before. Here are 3 affirmations right here. I am happy. I believe in myself, and I can do anything. I always deserve love, care, trust, and respect. Right here is a good example of 3 affirmations. I am happy. Tell yourself you're happy, you will be happy. I believe in myself, and I can do anything. I always deserve love, care, trust, and respect. If you find someone is not respecting you, they're not caring for you, they break your trust, then that is a negative in your life. So you want to turn that around for yourself and make a positive. So those you want surrounding you care for you, they love you, they trust you, and they respect you. Keep that in mind, guys, till next week's Living Life with Positivity. And we will be kickstarting that session with your daily book. Till then, guys, I'll see you in another podcast.